Saturday sees a enormous date of birth festivity in Polar Korea. Blinding displays of subject and loyalty are anticipated for the 70th anniversary date of the basis of the country. Tens of thousands of regional countrymen will march in a carefully rehearsed pageant that is connected to involve at low several of the Polar's desired war equipment. Though overseas TV crews include been permitted in to the normally reticent country, the cameras will largest potential be said wherever to spot and fire. Which they will failure to seize is the months and occasionally year of morbid experience. These parades are symbolic of Pyongyang's theater country, in tens of thousands of human beings mobilized in de-individualized displays of patriot eagerness, lead servility and antiquated ideologic slogans, says Sokyo Garden of Freedom in Polar Korea, an world non-governmental organization how plant in Polar Korean defectors. This Polar Korean human beings are to be seen and not heard. But every person in the rank of human beings who undergo via Kim Illinois Sung box represents an person who may vote a various view, if taking into account the opportunity. Kim Ji-young now has how prospect. The 36-year-old defected to Southward Korea 6 years back. She was a college undergraduate in Pyongyang and took portion in parades as a flair presenter. The aim was to create anew the overnight battles of Polar Korea's at first high lead Kim Illinois Sung, who is told to include fought to complementary the nationality of Japan guideline. It was a type of fireworks fest in torches how done letters. It must include been quite cold to see of over at the letters flaming in flame as youthful school students marched off. But our shirts trapped flame of period to period. We practiced for 6 months, and all we necessary to do was to conduct the flare and go. The conduct marcher would cry, "Hooray!" Companion Kim Illinois sung the large lead, and later we would answer 3 times, "Hooray, hooray, hooray." Our eyes would be on the phase time walk striker and keeping the flare in an completely ultimate link and in synchronized stares. But how mechanic duck step motion does not go natural, says Mrs. Kim. Thou include to raise up the behind leg at the identical period yours front line leg traffic the land. The is really hard. If you do the for 6 months, human beings miss a minimal of 5 kilograms 1 pound. Organizers were said to seek for improvement. Down there were medals for such who did so. Other, I was said, were scolded if things went ill. No Hee-chong was a workers' side secretariat, a top formal. He defected of Polar Korea 4 persons year ago for policy reasons. It was his job to choose the largest loyalist families to get portion. Looking behind at it, it very was a morbid expertise. The human beings incurred but though the side officials incurred since we had to warranty the successful of the right of the start to the late. The march would go of war academies or elitists troop units. Gifted singers, dance group and gymnasts would as well be selected. All were choosins of their customer loyalty to the Kim household. That would include to do a verify on every man, told Mr. No. This largest essential item was their household cradle. They must include a pure household recording, loyalist to the nationality, all the way before their other kin. The defectors said me they had learned up to 10 several hours a day for several months. Several would get patient or injured and replacements would include to be found. Mr. No told feed everyone, particularly for the year of hunger, became a actual problem. So how does the fit in a lead who has pledged to do the lives of common Polar Koreans superior? Kim Jong-un has proclaimed how Polar Korea is now a new nationality and the nation will attention on the economics. Country print include as well named for the day to be a festivity of the victor and continually extend the results of the big economical growth march. But he's mind Mr. Kim had hoped to do a greater and more daring ad on the prestigious anniversary date. Lot analysts trust he requested to reach thing his dad and grandpa never did, a proclamation to end the Korean warfare. The fight ended in 1953 in an truce treaty. Down there has never been a world contract. As negotiations in the joint state include stalled, Mr. Kim cordially acquired a southward Korean deputation the one week and repeated his will to denuclearize the Korean peninsula. He was disappointed, on to the officials of Seoul, how he is take stairs to neutralize and yet the planet does not trust him. How is, at low, the naked bones of a time scale and it seems Mr. Kim is thirsty to do a transactions in the US CEO, who answered in a chirp how they would receive it made along. Yet, a key issue remnant. Kim Jong-un may seem to be a more than outdoor polar Korean lead but he yet seems averse to let the planet see for which he wants them to view. And on the event it is the pageant. The UN estimates how about 40% of the people, or more than rather than 10 millionth human beings, requirement human aid and on 20% of family afflict of undernutrition. The year has been the hottest with accounting records began on the Korean peninsula. Polar Korean country print outlined it as an unparalleled nature calamity. The World Federation of the Red Crucifix community alerted how rice, corn and some cereal were destructive in the fields, in potential disastrous effects, setting the nation at hazard of a complete blown meal safety meltdown. Harsh flood in deceased August in the wake up of a typhoon as well annihilated at low 76 human beings, in almost the identical quantity lacking and thousands leftward homelessness by the destroying. He's hardly how the guest print will be shown these scenes of desolation. Print accessing remnant tight controllable in spite Kim Jong-un's latter top profile summits in the US and southward Korean presidents. No Hee-chong remembers organized days of marcher in the burning warmth in really slight to take. Oh the famine. The largest essential item was creature starving. Particularly, for Kim Jong-il's period, down there was not quite to take. All 100,000 human beings would job of night to overnight and the largest issue for them was not consuming quite. And yet I requested if he, as a officer, thick felt disappointed for such in the pageant. His reply was an insistent no. In Polar Korea we include been learned how if a side shakes, the mount must tremble as so. The importance of the is how, if Kim Illinois sung or Kim Jong Illinois says oh, later though the really minimum individual who has a breathing must say oh and take the procedure. We just aware how to say affirmative monsieur. How's how the framework is set upwards. The screen of customer loyalty and honor is seen as center to the successful of the parades and of the nationality. Mrs. Kim memorable listening the shouts of length dwell of her friends in the war as they gone their lead. They would cry so difficult how their sounding would be lost by the end of the 100-meter march. We would try to say to them but they couldn't since their vote was lost. As so as creature a portion of the sight, Mrs. Kim told the was as well a question of surviving. We were all family of medium, to top-level officials in the side. So if speech got out how who had complained, later they could fair vanish. So no one would complain about. It must be enchanting at first for foreigners. But I wish to speak them, these human beings treated so difficult for 6 months out of consuming. They sweating and treated so difficult for 6 months for which, 10 protocol of marcher? It is harrowing. I desire human beings would see more than of which is lie bottom, particularly reporters. But yet the feeling of honor as a nationality remnant. Mr. No, for a, would go behind at a time's note if he could. 100% I would back. It makes me to cry to believe on my hometown. Of year I would loving to go behind. I ever wish to go behind to Pyongyang. Who wouldn't wish to go behind to their hometown?